Hey there, thank you so much for joining me. I'm Charlotte with Colorful Teaching for You, and today we're going to be looking at how you can incorporate your students' voice into your classroom. It is one of the best ways to actively engage your children in learning and to build a strong classroom community. When we give our children a voice, it actually allows them to contribute to the classroom without feeling like they're being attacked. They want to contribute, even if they're shy or they're introverted or they're from a different country or have learning disabilities. When you create an environment where their voices are heard, where they feel like they're cared for, they're loved, they're nurtured, they will want to actively contribute to the learning process. So we've got 4 different ways that we can do this. The first way is to set meaningful goals. Now, one of the things I've noticed about many teachers, and I'm sure you don't do this, but we're going to talk about it anyway, is when we mark an assignment, when we conference with our kids, a lot of the times we look at what they need to improve on, and then we tell them what goals we're going to set for them to work on. A lot of the times, though, children may not see it as something that's meaningful to them, and if we don't give them a chance to explain their side of the story or to let us know if this goal is meaningful to them, chances are they're not going to want to work on it. So the best way to do it is, even if when we do have that conference with them, ask them what they think they need to work on. And in that case, you're actually giving the ownership of the learning to them. And when their voice is heard and when they write it down and they take ownership, that's when you start to see the learning going further. That's when you start to see achievement taking place. Okay? So give them a choice in setting their own goals and achieving that. The next step is to make a choice. So whenever possible, instead of constantly dictating what a child needs to do throughout their academic day with you, which is a long day, give them a choice when possible. So an example of this might be, you can silent read right now or you could write a story. Choose what works best for you. Or if you work quietly for this amount of time, that's going to depend on the age of your students, you can do this later. It's probably a reward that you've discussed with them. Okay? So give them a choice, because when you do, it gives them the freedom to want to stay on task. Because if they stay on task, they're going to be rewarded, and that's what they're looking for. So when you can, give them a choice. The third step is to share your thoughts. So here we're looking at different environments where your children can actually voice their opinions by sharing their thoughts. So you've got 3 different ways right now. One would be whole class environment, the other one would be a small group environment, or a pair share. There's also individual ones where they can talk to you, but I'm talking now more about peer-to-peer discussions. So you do need to be mindful, though, of the type of students that you have, and it's going to change from one year to the next. So for your students, would it be best to start with a whole group discussion and then gradually teach them how to contribute in a small group? Or it would be more beneficial, especially if you have a lot of shy or introverted children, to put them in a small group, not small group, but pair share first, and then teach them how to talk in a small group. So really, it's going to be you're going to make this decision based on where your children are at in their learning process at the beginning of the year, middle of the year, and at the end of the year. Okay, and the last step is to embrace restorative circles. So if you're not familiar with the restorative circle, we're going to actually go into a little bit more depth here. What we want to do, so let's set the scene here. We're going to have our children sit in a circle. So when they're sitting, they're either sitting on the floor or they're sitting on their chairs. But when they sit on their chairs, you need to get all the desks out of the way, because you don't want them to have something to fidget with, because there's always going to be that one child who goes into their desk and wants to fidget with a toy or a book or a pencil, whatever's there. So get all the desks out of the way and have them sit either on the floor or on their chairs in a circle, And then you're going to either lead a discussion based on an issue that arose, or something that's awesome that took place, or perhaps something that you feel your children need to learn, maybe a coping mechanism, for example. Okay, so you're going to lead a discussion about this, and you want to make sure that only one child speaks at a time, because otherwise everyone's going to talk over each other. We're trying to build mutual trust and connection there with your kids. Okay, so one person speaks at a time, and when they're speaking, everybody else must learn how to listen. This is excellent for teaching them listening skills, mutual trust, speaking skills, and it also does deepen your classroom community, because while it might be difficult to get started at the beginning of the school year, it is going to be so beneficial, because at the end, or even the middle, you'll start to see children want to talk, because things are going to arise and they're going to eventually find that this is a safe space for them to be in. And they'll start to talk about things that, they may not say. You don't want them to say their names, and we really don't want them to say anybody else's names, but we just want to have a discussion, a loving discussion about what's going on in their lives. So let's recap, because we've talked about a lot so far. What we've talked about so far is we've looked at what is student voice, how do we incorporate it into our classroom, and why it's relevant. So there's 4 ways to incorporate it. First, set meaningful goals. Second, make a choice. Third, share your thoughts. And fourth, embrace restorative circles. If you have any questions in the meantime, please do feel free to send me a message. And if you are working on trying to create a plan that you love, because you're feeling really far behind and you're struggling, I've got a free masterclass that's going to help you get at least a week ahead, and you're going to learn how to replicate it over and over so that you're never feeling behind. If you'd like to join us, then I will post the link in the description, and I will see you soon. And regardless if you join us or not, I will see you next week, same place, same time. In the meantime, remember to create, experience, and teach from the heart. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care, my friends. Bye.